Hello, welcome back to another episode of When We Cry Data Archive. This will be Data Archive 5 now, or 6? Is that the number that we established on?
Data archive unspecified number because we don't remember.
Great. Before we jump into talking about our week, let's introduce all of our hosts.
Yes.
Here you have your friendly neighborhood mushroom. Hello, hello.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Des. Because yes, this time it was time for French.
Okay. Hi, it's me, Kirby, here for the first time, finally coming in at unspecified number.
Yeah, congratulations, Kirby. This is your first data archive. I hope we treat you well.
Mm-hmm.
You're like the 11th hour ranger, because we just wouldn't have been able to fucking record if you didn't join.
That's also very true.
After an hour of us just sitting around in the call doing nothing.
True.
Yeah. So, but you don't know, but basically now I introduce myself in a different language every time, so that's why I introduce myself in French, Kirby.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do when you run out of languages?
There's a lot of more languages.
Will I? We'll see.
Will you run
anyway, people who speak other languages other than English listening to this, please type down in the comments what the fuck I should say whenever I run out of languages.
Yeah, isn't capybara Polish?
I actually don't remember where capybara is from, but yeah, capybara, please save me from whenever I run out of languages.
Yeah, write down how to say
hello, I'm Des.
Hello, I'm Des in Polish.
Yeah.
Or whatever language you speak, I'm very sorry.
Mr. Worldwide. Anyway, what have we been doing?
I didn't introduce myself.
Oh yeah, yes I didn't even get to introduce you.
Yeah, what the hell?
Oh, true.
Bias.
I'm Yensid.
Yensid got censored out of the episode. I guess we could start by you now.
Yeah.
So Yensid, what have you been doing?
Oh yeah,
wow, all of that? Damn.
That's so mean, Des.
It's been a bit since it's been a little bit since we recorded, okay?
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, if you don't have anything on top of your
No,
head.
I have some things to mention. I just didn't know what to start with.
Okay.
So I got a Japanese new 3DS XL in the mail a few days ago, it is actually a new 3DS LL because that's just what it's called in Japan, and it's
really
specifically a neat Smash Brothers design. So I'm pretty happy with it, and my OG 3DS from fucking Christmas 2012 that I
what a veteran.
Still have is in just fucking horrible condition. The bottom screen is just massacred.
Oh my god.
And I've just never liked how fucking tiny the thing is.
Same here. My old 3DS from right around that time at the top, I think the top screen literally doesn't even work anymore.
That's intense.
What the fuck? How have you been treating your 3DSs?
I used it for I used it for several probably tens of thousands of hours playing multiple games, so it's just...
That's actually really funny because recently my friend's 3DS actually not almost exploded. You know when the battery is expanding?
Yeah, oh my god.
Is it like a Samsung phone?
Yeah, basically. Well, it didn't explode, but she opened up her 3DS and she's like, why the fuck did it swell up?
Yeah.
So they had to actually basically bomb bomb squad disband put it away, and they were like, what the fuck is this?
Oh,
bomb squad? That's what you do with swollen batteries?
The idea is that you're supposed to drop it in sand, so they stole a bunch of sand from the volleyball pit next to their school. It's really funny.
Hey, that works.
But they were just all idiots, and then I bought them new batteries on Amazon, which also only cost me $7.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Nice. Mushroom saves the day.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with my new 3DS LL, so far I've just been going with the default 4GB micro SD card after hacking it, and so far all I've played on it is Mario Golf.
Good.
How is Mario Golf?
Pretty alright. I've as far as golf games go, I prefer Neo Turf Masters.
Never heard of that, but it's okay.
Just another funny thing that happened is that I was studying in Japanese class in my Japanese class Discord. I was just in a call with the server server owner,
Hmm.
and she was like just helping me, and I was grateful for that. But then I was just chatting with her after studying,
Yeah.
and started like talking about what games she plays, and mentioned that she likes Castlevania Lords of Shadows. And then she just started just describing to me the plot of Castlevania Lords of Shadows. And then just kept going. And I was like, oh my god, she is describing to me in extreme detail the play-by-play of the entire plot of Castlevania Lords of Shadows. And I just didn't know how to stop that, or like what to say. And I was just so curious that I just like let it happen just to see like how far it'd go. And like after like 50 minutes, she was not at the end, and I was called down for dinner, and I just had to leave.
So you basically just live watched the podcast episode that she did by herself.
Basically, but the fucking thing that made this even funnier was that the person I was talking with was like a 38-year-old woman.
You know what?
Wow, okay, discrimination against old heads. Wow, Yancy, you're gonna grow old someday, you know?
No, it's just like hearing that massive description from someone that much older than me about Castlevania Lords of Shadows is just such a weird experience.
Clearly,
Yeah,
you said that you don't actually know any of the professors that are at my school.
No, it wasn't even a professor, it was like another student.
Like, if you have met people in my school, you would think, like, I have heard people go on, like, lengthy fucking tangents, like professors or, like, 10 years, or just, like, people I know, like, go on tangents of, like, games that I've never even heard of, and I'm like, dude, like, we're at, like, a social school party, and why are you telling me this? Like, could I go get a drink now? Like, or should I sit down? And, like, you know, they're so passionate and so excited to explain it to you, and I'm literally just sitting here dying, and I'm like, the fuck is happening to me?
I'm just picturing, like, the fucking, like, some school party where, like, a 70-year-old professor comes up to you and is like, hey, have you ever heard of Pathologic 2?
Yeah, basically, it's like that kind of vibes. It's pretty funny. If you come to here, you meet people, and then you're like, JK, I have never thought that I was annoying, but now I have seen other people. I realized that I was truly annoying all my life, and now I have met other even more annoying people.
Yeah, totally.
And it's the worst.
It's like the most, like, weirdly niche thing you've heard an older teacher talk about.
I probably wouldn't even remember because they just slide off my brain like smooth water. I just god, there's like
totally.
this teacher tried to explain to me this like card-based strategy game that he was obsessed with as a kid when we were at like a club functioning like part like a basically the collective reunion, but not even that. Like it was just like a new like end of the year party, and I was literally like, what are you talking about? Like I'm like, and it was so embarrassing because I felt so bad because I actually like, I enjoyed the professor and I just didn't want to be like, I need to walk away from here now. Goodbye.
That's gonna be Sayome with Yu-Gi-Oh! In 20 years.
Oh my god.
That sounds like a great school.
Yeah, the school's pretty good. I don't know if you want to venture that far to come here, but you know, didn't come. It's just and also our school subreddit is the most depressing place possible. Like,
what the fuck? Your school subreddit?
Your school doesn't have a subreddit, Des?
How does your school not have a death subreddit? Yeah.
What the fuck? Is that a normal thing in America?
Yeah, it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
Who the fuck uses their college's subreddit?
My school does. People on our school subreddit like basically like make tier lists of their professors, like do like professors, and like and then argue about like which of the labs have better gaming computers. I don't know, man.
Wow. Amazing.
I go to the worst schools. It's fine.
Your school sounds amazing. What do you mean?
It's no. It's like filled with just like socially awkward nerds that are just so annoying. Like, and it's also worse if you're like a woman in STEM, and then all these dudes are like, "Excuse me, let me explain to you how JavaScript work," and I'm like, "Fuck off!" Like, dude, so, and they're like, "Oh my god!" So, this is. this is the last tangent I would go to, but like literally during our last concert, I was sitting in the front door for like basically like and like this other girl who's our secretary was sitting at the front door, and this random ass guy came up and was like, "Oh, like is this a concert place?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And then he looked at all of us, which is like three girls and like one guy, and he was like, "So like, do you know what's gonna get played?" And I was like, "Yeah, like these are the songs that are getting played, and these are the orders." And I was like, "Yeah," and I really like Celeste. And he was like, "Oh, you actually play these games?" And I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Fuck
I'm the
off.
vice president of this club. Like, fuck off. And then no.
Man.
And then he looked at all of us and he was like, "Oh, then tell me your favorite game." And I was
Oh my
like, "Well,
God.
my favorite game of all time is a Japanese game, and you have never heard of it, so I'm not going to tell you. But I really like Celeste on here." And then the other girl, who's our secretary, was like, "Oh, like I love like Kirby All Star, like that was like and how like that was like her like childhood game, and like she likes Kirby games." And then this guy, do you know what he said to her? He says,
I main Kirby on Super Smash Brothers.
No. He says, "Oh, I see, average Kirby enjoyer."
Oh my god.
How do you even like go out to live on your own while still thinking like this? How does that happen?
Okay. So literally, we thought that was so funny. We like kept turning to the girl and be like, "Hey, like, oh my god, this guy thinks that you're an average Kirby enjoyer," and she thought it was so funny that like literally while we were sitting there, she changed her Discord status into average Kirby enjoyer, and then like it was, and then this guy came over to me and was like, "Have you played Smash?" And I was like, who'd you main in Smash?" And I was like, "Dude, get the fuck away from my table. Like, I have no interest of talking to you." I was like,
average Smash Bros enjoyer.
he's like, "I've been getting into Ultimate," and I was like, "Oh my god, like you should have at least said Melee, so it made you sound cooler than you were."
Yeah. So they're like,
Would it?
It was so funny. I was like, that's like the basic existence of going to your school, like going to my school here.
It would have been based if he said he was getting into Brawl.
No, it would have been based if I said it would have been based if he said, "Oh, I've been getting into Skullgirl," which would be super cool, I don't know. It was so embarrassing. It was like, I felt so bad for the kid because I don't even think he realized that we were making fun of him, like while we were sitting in front of him being like, "Oh my god, he just called you an average Kirby enjoyer." He must have thought we were just like jesting, but no.
it's always there was this one time I was just studying in the library, just in my college studying library, and the guy next to me asks if I like Naruto, and I think like, okay, that's a pretty simple question. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I've seen a few episodes." So he starts just describing like everything that happens in Naruto in like massive detail, and I'm trying to like write an essay, and I'm just like, okay. He's
okay. So is like just hearing someone describe the plot of something for a very long time just a common school experience?
It's just a quintessentially university.
It's the quintessential university experience. You're just sitting there minding your own business, and someone walks up to you and is like, "Hey, have you heard of this thing?" And you're like, "I guess." And it's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go on for 50 minutes now."
Yeah, it's horrifying.
It's great.
But yeah. Anyway, do you have anything you want to talk about? Do you have any experience?
Yes, I watched an anime that I want to comment on. So,
okay.
I watched an anime from last season, I think, or 2 seasons ago. I don't actually know. It's from last year. It's called Sony Boy. So it was pitched to me as something that felt like Lane or Evangelion. So I watched it. And yeah, it was pretty much like Lane in Evangelion in the sense that you don't understand what the fuck is going on. But what was peculiar to me about this anime is that I finished it and I just didn't know what to rate it. Cause like usually when you rate an anime, you're like basing it on something, right? If it's a comedy show, you rate it based on how fun it was. If it's an action show, you rate it based on like cool scenes and shit, I just had no fucking idea what to base my opinion on this show about. I didn't even know if I liked it, if it was good or not. It's just really weird. It's like, I recommend it just for the experience of not even being confused at the anime, but also being confused about how to feel about it. It was interesting to say the least.
Damn.
Yeah. I'll have to go check it out then, because I also need to watch Lane too. But yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on the last note, if we're going to just leave this this topic, I wish everybody a good Lunar New Year. I just had my celebration yesterday, so it was really delicious. We had a full ass fish where I spent like half an hour prepping, and then I did hot pot, which is delicious.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice. As for someone who doesn't celebrate Chinese New Year but does celebrate Genshin, which has a false holiday based on Chinese New Year.
God.
Happy Lantern Rite, everyone! Be sure to let out your Shao Lanterns!
Genshin fans.
Man, people are really celebrating Steam sales, huh?
It do be like that. That's what I mean. Every time Christmas comes around, I'm like, yes, another Steam sale. Very good.
Yeah, thank you, Chinese, for having a new year so that you can have Steam sales. Well, Kiconia?
Kiconia, I guess. Okay, so let me get my gears ready.
After 18 minutes.
Sorry, we'll do some cutting.
Wait, no, let's spend some more time because there's something we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, what?
Oh my God.
Kirby's Gauntlet. You want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Can you actually pull up an image of my Gauntlet on screen? It's been a really long time.
Okay, I'll pull it up for you.
I'm sorry. I know vaguely what it looks like. It's just I haven't been in an episode or really recording anything for like
that's fine.
months.
So basically, on the first episode, we all talked about our Gauntlet and why we went with this design. So if you want to do the same, here's your Gauntlet.
Yeah. So my Gauntlet,
Mr. Krabs.
my Gauntlet is, guys, I'm gonna be real with you here. It's pretty much just the arm of my persona. It's pretty much just me being a fucking evil furry and putting my persona into the podcast.
Power move.
Yeah. Very cool.
Take away my arm. No, but it's pretty much loosely. I guess I could just throw up an image of my persona on the screen. Am I allowed to do that? I guess I am.
Do it.
Okay, Des, I'll send you. After we're done recording, I'll pull up an image. I'll send you an image of my persona. But yeah,
okay, I guess it will be on screen by now.
It's pretty much just the arm from my little furry creature. That's mostly all there is to it. And I don't know. I thought it was neat and unique in a way.
Yeah. I think it looks good.
Yeah.
It goes well with the
Thank
rest
you.
of your colors.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get into Kiconia.
Yes.
Okay, Kiconia
The
time.
meat and potatoes.
Excuse me.
No.
So one of the last thing we left off is that we hear this whole thing about, Baka Kakuru goes on dates, and then you hear about Gunhild's siblings, Maya, and then you learn that there's horrible secretary things happening with these pedophile vampire higher-ups in the Kiconia universe.
Yeah.
Who prey on young girls.
Just like in real life. I hope Jose Mackerel rots in prison, and I hope they find every single pedophile video out there. Yeah.
That they filmed in that fucking house. And we learned that in the mysterious room where the three kings vote, it seems like they're ready to party, and So now we are entering chapter 10. So this is where the simultaneous global conflicts.
Yeah.
So we are entering back into the world news portion of the Kiconia story, where most of the time that Des thinks it's just blah 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 words.
I super sleep.
Yes, this is where Des sleeps and Sayome and I hype, I guess.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the date is December 1st. All of these news is just going on about all these crazy things that are happening all around the world. Tensions are growing, just like Ukraine in our real life scenario. So basically,
Ryukishi not releasing phase 2 because it's too relatable. Phase 1, nothing to do with real world.
Phase 1, nothing too relatable's happening. Not at all.
People at the end of Ciconia phase 2. Why did Ryukishi just get political all of a sudden at the end?
What the hell? I mean, politics in my visual novel?
Yeah, like, oh, I don't want politics in my visual novel. Let me go read no politics where, I don't know, it's so stupid. Fucking.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically, they're at the end of the year and tensions are rising, and COU military are guarding the, like, Glass Sea has shot down an AOU Japanese recon drone, so now, like, COU Japan is like, that's not cool of you. How dare you shoot down my little laser thing? And then news are talking about how the peaceful resolution for COU and AOU Japan is probably not going to happen, since this is very like territorial dispute. I remember like 2011-ish when like China and Japan were having territorial disputes of like stupid ass fucking islands of the middle of nowhere. And there was a lot of that. So it just makes you think about those things. So meanwhile, there's like Kashmir.
I think it's Kashmir.
Kashmir's
You just pronounce it however it's easier for you. We don't actually.
Kashmir. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time I see a word, I have to pronounce it 5 times just to make it work.
Just go over all the possible pronunciations.
Yes. Kashmir? Kashmir Spirit Field. Despite of the COU calls for ceasing a mining operation, ABN Pakistan does not has not responded and basically continue to have more anti-aircraft weaponry, and this completely violates the Kashmir Treaty. COU India is like condemning them, and all the other, basically everybody just pointing fingers and being like, well, how dare you do this? Everybody's calling for like humanitarian problems, and so all of these people are fighting over spirit fields, and they're all getting closer, and the announcer says that World War IV seeming to be on the horizon, and it seems to be approaching, wondering if any of these events are all been planned.
Well, I don't think all of them are fighting over Spiritium fields, are they? I think COU and AOU are fighting over the Glassy, which does have Spiritium fields. AOU and ACR are fighting over the Atlantis Spiritium field. But then... no, and the COU and the ABN are also fighting over Spiritium field. But then the ABN and the ACR are fighting over a refugee camp.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That's
right. The only one that is not over a Spiritium field, I think.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's a lot of this is just about like powers and controls. Like, I mean, like, while we're fighting over territory, most of them is fighting over resources. That's basically very similar to how it is in real life.
Yeah.
So in the public bath, after all of these heavy amount of war dumps, the Gauntlet Knights are basically all over the org, gather in the virtual bath, and they talk about their different backgrounds and then different factions. But they just start arguing because like patriotism is carved into everybody's soul when they're born, but especially deep if you were a soldier. Lato's girl shows up and everybody calms down, and Merikamen says we should all avoid careless actions and statements, while Valentine basically suggests everybody delete your arguments from your log. Just
delete them from your brain.
Yeah, just nuke the server for a little bit.
I'm sorry, no politics allowed in general. I'm going to have to delete everything said today.
No posting wartime secrets in general, guys.
Yeah. So, basically, Meow and Lingji talks about their respective squad mates to apologize, and Merikamen reassures everybody that none of their country wants war. Naima's trying to cheer everybody up, going wow, we're all best friends.
Whoopsie wow.
And then Meow starts talking about why is all these things happening if nobody wants war? And they everybody's getting more, this is becoming more real, a war on the horizon seems to be getting closer and closer, and while everybody wants to uphold the wall of peace, it's seeming to getting more and more difficult. And the Leto girls basically comes and leaves, and then the other Gauntlet Knights continues to talk about war again, because that's all on their minds now.
Mods are asleep.
Start posting. And then Gauntlet Knights finds it really so the Gauntlet Knights start talking about it's really sad that people want war. Adobe Photoshop.
Sorry,
I should just call him Adobe. Abdo talks about how some people would profit from war, which is stocks in defense contracting companies has skyrocketing,
Yeah.
military industrial complex, people who invested early, and basically in the IPMA, which is the LATO, basically has hinted that they might not actually interfere, and now stocks plummets, and when the if the IPMA reserves their position, the sky climbs back up. So it's pretty upsetting. It's just like how it's just like the real world. We all living in a simulation. Thanks to Yukishi. He really needs to give us phase two. Why is he a coward?
Honestly, okay. Honestly, Ryukishi, it feels like he's like slowly waiting for us to forget about phase 2, because when we released the previous Data Archive episode, I wanted the thumbnail to be that one photo of Ryukishi standing besides the Cyclop Monster Girls thing that he took the photos in for the Monster Girl Cafe, right? So
Yeah?
there's a photo of Ryukishi with the people in the cosplays, right?
Uh-huh.
Wrong. The image fucking disappeared from the internet. It's nowhere to be seen. I spent like an hour looking for the image. It's just nowhere. The image fucking disappeared.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It feels.
I tried looking for it myself too. It's not anywhere.
That's some very conspiratorial thinking right there.
It's okay. It's just the Mandela effect.
It's not the Mandela. I swear to fucking God. Like, it feels like he's like slowly trying to like delete evidence that Kiconia ever existed.
It's okay. We just got stuck in the different timeline. It happens sometimes.
Yeah,
We're in the wrong fragment.
This is the no phase 2 timeline.
No phase 2 timeline. We have to have like infinite amount of not good Higurashi spin-offs before we get phase 2.
Yeah, in an alternative universe, instead of announcing that he was gonna make Higurashi go, Ciconia phase 2 came out and everybody was happy and world peace was achieved.
Yeah, for real.
So Ryukishana wants the Gauntlet Knights of the world to join together and fight the people who start the war for money. Basically, it's kind of like fighting a secret organization. And Retha Bill says, like, wow, that sounds like a really comic book. Like, we don't live in a video game.
We live in a society.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh yeah, Retha Bill basically talks about, like, maybe there is a secret organization and people are actually trying to profit from the war. And her bodyguards reminds her, like, oh, an event is coming up. So the Squad 601 leaves a public bath, following by the Cairo Squad, which had our own business to attend to. And basically everybody else leaves, and Meow sits there and being like, Retha Bill's mention of a secret organization is, like, really weird. And, like, he's like, maybe she's telling the truth, or maybe, like, there's some truth in the water, basically. So in Meow's mental scape, Blue Meow shows up again, says the idea of joining hands and fighting some mysterious secret organization only happens in comic books, and we don't live in a video game. Rather, the Gauntlet Knights are going to kill each other, and it has been decided already.
I don't really have nowhere to go with this, but I guess I'll just mention it, because some episodes ago, Simon mentioned that Blue Meow only shows up when everyone leaves the public path, and it happened again. So I don't know, just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah. Well,
does he live in the bath?
No, Simon's theory was that Blue Meow was somehow connected to Keropoyo, who was God. So because it was the program, even after everybody leaves, the software still exists. So that's how it would happen, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not Simon.
Yeah, we need Salome.
It would be funny to imagine Blue Meow was just like a squatter in the locker room.
A what?
A squatter in the locker, like they just live in the bath, and that's it.
The squatter means just like someone living on property that isn't theirs.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're just loitering.
Okay.
And more English words you learn every day, Dust.
Yes.
So Meow decides that, well, maybe secret organization doesn't exist after all, but then he gets interrupted by a ringtone. So Meow checks his mental display and he gets an email from the old bastard, Tojiro, which I think is pretty funny because he's just like, well, a secret organization doesn't exist, and then he gets an email from his dad who's like a part of a secret organization.
Hey son, you want some help with your secret organization?
Basically, it's like I could have. I know we haven't got there, and I want to save this meme for the future, but I just love the Tojiro is like, "Hey son, are you winning?" And it's just like it's just Meow crying, blood all over him. I just want to say that it's so funny.
Was it like a Flow Perfecto video?
Yes, I think it is.
Probably. But yeah, we forgot to mention full Kiconia's powers. After we fucking said Meow is covered in blood. Better wait than ever.
Well,
Tojiro is like, hey son, wanna hang out and eat food? So like, we haven't met really ARL, so they start exchanging emails. After becoming a Gauntlet Knight, Meow sends into battle all the time. So, maybe he should like go hang out with his old pop sometimes.
Tojiro tells Meow that virtual rooms really aren't his thing, so that's why he wants to meet IRL with Meow. But we say Tojiro in virtual rooms all the time, so I don't know. I get kind of like a headcanon. This was just Tojiro coming up with an excuse to meet up with his dear Meow.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe it's just that he like considers it different with like different people. Maybe he's like comfortable just having like purely professional virtual meetings with.
That's actually a good way to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the Meow meets Tojiro at a restaurant, and he's just like, I'm busy, Dad. I need to go soon. And basically, he's like, this man is my father, and he's a actual Kiconia born, which is in their universe is with natural birth.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really funny because I think like this is where the whole MPreg theory comes from.
The what theory? What?
MPreg.
What?
Oh my god. So I think Same and I talked about this theory, which is the Tojiro is the one who gave birth to Meow.
Oh. Okay.
Honestly speaking, we need to like compile all the theories Sayome has ever come up with for whenever she isn't on an episode.
I guess. I guess. Sure.
Tomotage trans icon?
Who knows? Anyway, so Tojiro apparently works for the AOU Combined Military HQ as a reporter, and he has been transferred. He's been recently transferred into the IPMA, so the Leto. So he's flying around the world a lot, and Meow used to have this like rebellious streak towards Tojiro, but now he's like kind of mellowed out, and now they meet in person, and he's more chill about it. Tojiro compliments his son about like, oh, you did a great job during the Battlefield Sander Festival. And like Meow was like, don't say that. Like, I embarrassed myself. Tojiro talks about Meow's movement of getting shot down was amazing despite what the commentary said. And he talks about, oh, your opponent, Ling Ji, like she won because it was a competition. But like, in the real battle, she would have fallen unconscious and crashed. Basically, Meow and Lingji could have taken each other out then. And Meow pays no heed to his words. Basically, he's like, what do you know, father? Like, you're not the Gauntlet Knight. Like, Lingji's a great Gauntlet Knight herself.
Yeah, it's really interesting to parallel here because at the start of Kiconia, we see it's basically what Meow is doing to Jaden at the start is basically what Tojiro is doing to Meow here, where it's just like keep pestering him with like, oh, you did this, you did that. Yeah, maybe you could have done this. Oh, your movements weren't as optimized here. You could have done like something else. I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
It's like being their coach.
Yeah, basically, he just said a lot of stuff, and Meow's just kind of dismissive. Tojiro says, "Oh, I could send you some information about like your flight data, and if you want." And he's like, "Okay, sure, whatever." So yeah, he says like maybe like Meow's like, well, I don't. Most people don't have actual dads, so maybe me having a dad, that's a positive experience. Maybe I should let him like do all this stuff. Tojiro asks Meow if like have you read the news lately, son? Like there's a lot of war that's gonna happening. I hope you good. As a Gauntlet Knight, you're supposed to fight against all these people. Tojiro then asks Meow to turn off his cell comm and listen closely. So when older people are telling kids to turn off their cell comms, they meant like, oh, they're going to give them a scolding because, having a cell comm means the kids aren't really listening.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so he's like worried because Meow's like, oh no, I'm going to get like lectured by my dad. Yeah. Tojiro will tell Meow that kids like him thinks that news are just fanning the flames as nothing serious will happen. But military conflicts will actually occur. In the after World War III era was soon to be called the before World War IV era. And Meow's like shook. And Tojiro keeps continuing about how Gauntlet Knights are very close to actually becoming military technology would be sent to combat soon. So So far throughout like Gauntlet Knight's existence, they haven't actually used them in real combat. It's just like a very niche idea that I've been testing around. So that's also why they are seen as like VR gamers instead of seeing as actual soldiers. Meow's like, I don't really know who my enemies are, and I don't know who I should fight for. But he takes his dad seriously because, his dad always says all these weird shit, weird predictions. Tojiro tells him that my predictions are more like prophecies, words that have been left in somebody else's care.
Ooh, which sounds awfully similar to what Boo Meow usually says.
Yes. Okay, so suddenly Blue Meow shows up, rips through the screen, and says, temporarily flashes on screen as Meow remembers what a prophecy is.
Yes.
The world from God about a future that would come pass with certainty. Ooh, the word certainty.
Ooh.
I remember when I was reading this part, I like screenshotted certainty, and I was like, you can't do this to me, Nukishi.
Yeah, certainty.
Yes. Before certainty became a trigger word.
Yeah, yes. Before the incident.
So Tojiro says this day will come for a long time. He doesn't expect it to be like today. Basically, he's like, I've been hearing about it, hearing the news. Gauntlet Knight represents the ultimate tool for changing fates. Humanity has never had a greater method for individuals to do such things. And he's like, maybe Dad wants me to be here so I can make a difference in my world. And he's like, wow, Dad is so cool, and I can't believe he pushed me to become a Gauntlet Knight.
Yeah.
And Tojiro tells him to never stop thinking. Oh, that's another thing.
Wow.
No matter how incomprehensible it might all seem, which is another Umineko trigger word for my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good trigger word. That one hasn't been taken by Go derangement syndrome.
Yes. So Tojiro raised Meow to be the strongest Gauntlet Knight in the world because youngs are the main characters of every era, having spared no effort in making it happen. So yeah, actually think about the youngs are the main characters of every era also makes me think about Rose Gun Days. But
on the topic of reminding you of Rose Gun's Days, like there's actually so many like similar themes in Rose Gun's Days and Kiconia than it is to Kiconia and Higurashi or Kiconia and Umineko.
Yeah, I was gonna say true.
It's really weird how thematically Rose Gun's Days is so similar to Kiconia.
Rose Gun's Days is the real phase too.
So yeah, Tojiro thinks about how grateful he is that Tojiro gave him this like gifted education, becoming a Gauntlet Knight, and then the waiter comes and they order food. So basically, like after they like ordered stuff, Tojiro is just like, "Oh, I'm actually leaving. I need to check." And Meow's like, "Why are you leaving already?" And Tojiro says, "I don't have much time, and I'll get a call from you soon, and now you can turn your cell comm back on." And when
do they actually eat something? Because I got the idea that Tojiro said like, "Okay, now we chill a bit. We've already talked about things. Let's chill a bit. Hey, waitress, bring us." I don't know what he says. And then he instantly goes like, well, actually, we gotta leave.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what it happens? Because that's... Maybe I read wrong.
No, I think...
But that's like such a sus scene because of that.
Well, basically, the idea is that they like show up and they just start talking, but then the waiter comes and asks them like, oh, would you... Like, so they spend most of their time talking before the waiter even shows up. And then when the waiter shows up, they order, and then he just leaves immediately after that.
Yeah, and he's like, could I get the
check?
Yes,
which... It looked like a suspicious scene to me because it feels like there's a gap in the text. He calls for the waitress, then immediately says we want the bill actually.
Yeah, that's what.
Like he doesn't say actually. He just asks for the bill. It's like a gap of time was gone from there, which just then makes me remember that we've seen Tojiro hacking someone's brain.
It does.
Interesting.
I want to say it does say that like that the suddenness of the conversation caused Meow to kind of just blank for a little bit with how intense it was, but that might be from a little later. I'll look into that.
I'm reading through the text LP and I just see that the waiter, when asked for the check, said certainly.
Wow.
Oh god.
I think this means something.
Yeah.
And that's the worst crime of all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying certainty.
Do you guys think that like certainty is like Ryukishi's safe word?
What's a safe word?
Safe word is something you say during sex and then, or during a play.
Do I have to explain safe word?
Yes, you are. We are going to explain safe word to them.
Okay, I get it.
But yeah, even after like Tojiro is like, see you later, the Meow is kind of like, wait, Dad, is war gonna start? And he's like, well, Maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's just like,
Yeah,
well,
basically.
war's about to start. Wait, what the fuck do you mean? That's all I got for today. I gotta go back to playing Animal Crossing on my Nintendo 3DS.
That's. I don't know. Why don't you go check your phone? Tell me if war's gonna start soon.
Yeah, basically. Tojiro's like, hey kid, I'm leaving, but like, turn your phone back on, and then he immediately turns it on and is greeted by a military emergency alarm,
Yeah.
signaling that Meow has to go respond to the military summon and standby. Meow's like, wait, Dad, what the fuck? Like, he's like, what is gonna happen? And his dad is like, he says, I don't know, man. Meow begs for Tojiro to tell him. He's like, please, Dad, please tell me if people are gonna die. And Tojiro's like, yeah, many people's gonna die, more than World War III. Bye. And then he just basically leaves. He's like, I don't have any friends in the counterintelligence agencies. Like, he's like,
oh yeah, I do like it. I do like that he specifically says, like, even though you're this really powerful Gauntlet Knight, you can't do all too much now.
Yeah.
There will come a time when you can do something about it, but there's not much you can really do about it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, you don't know anybody who is like the higher ups. Like, he's like, after all, you're just a tool that's being used by somebody else. Like, and they can discard you. And basically, Tojiro plans to tell Meow everything when the time comes. He's like, I will tell you when you're older. And he says, but I hope that time will never come. And Tojiro signs a check and bids him farewell. And since he is a soldier too, and he was like, well, maybe this is the last time we'll say goodbye. Meow expresses determination, and Tojiro expresses hope for him.
Mm-hmm.
Meow later sends an email to the Gauntlet Knight squad leaders of the world, telling everybody to become guardians of peace and stop World War IV. The leader shares it with their squad mates, and they all discuss their job as soldiers and how they must abide order, but they could still be guardians under those orders. Or they can be either dogs or guardians. And Warcats give their support to Meow, who declares that there aren't pieces on anyone's game board. That's another word that made my eyes be like, no, dude.
Ryukishi when he doesn't mention game boards for 2 scenes.
So in the virtual room, Jester received. I did not understand how dense Kiconia.
Yeah, which is why I cut down the chapters we were gonna cover. I knew this was gonna be like this. I was like,
yeah. Okay. To be fair, the next chapters are a lot of just like, wow, cool Gauntlet Knights doing their thing, so it shouldn't be too bad.
Ryukishi playing with his action figures for the next couple chapters.
So it's not.
He's like, oh, and then he swoops down and he go clash,
and it's like, wow, look at those animations. That's why this game costs so much. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at it go.
Oh my god.
Then he picks up his fucking JoJo Part 4 figure and says like, yes, Momotake is gonna have Zahando now, and then he fucking swings his sword and fucking Zahando.
We still haven't even done the Jestress scene, right? That's the next
we're
thing.
gonna get there.
Okay.
So Jestress receives a message from one of the Gauntlet Knights, and who says Meow now has had a lot of influence over them since the Battle Standard Festival. So now the Jestress are planned to leave everything. Basically, the Gauntlet Knights plan to.
Wow, they plan to.
And everyone on their squad has agreed with the email that Meow has sent. If things continue, their comrades of the 9th Prime Chivalrous Order will be restricted in their movements. Whoever the Gauntlet Knight is who's messaging Jestress plans to leave everything to Lady Jestress and recited the Three Kings Creed. Keropoyo then announced that Tojiro has entered the virtual room, and so Tojiro basically shows up and sees Jestress, and he's like, yes, you just met your son for the first time, you probably were so excited. And Tojiro asks Jestress to stop showing off that she's monitoring him, and he says, you have been eating biscuits, which is such a weird thing. The masked girl laughs and asks how are you doing, and how's all the stuff is going on right now. And Tojiro says they're playing James Bond, which is such a stupid thing to say to Ryukishi. Why did you say that? Keropoyo announced that there's all these news reports that defense military of the AOU Japan government has been rushed to the hospital because of an unknown condition, and that he is the leader of the moderate party in power, and his retirement would likely unleash the AOU Japan's Warhawks. Tojiro says in a few days, the former minister's secretary will leak some information about some shady political contribution, making this clear that these contributions came from COU Japan and throw everything into chaos. Gestra says that World War IV cannot be stopped at this point, and Tojiro hopes that it becomes the last major war.
Yeah. In here, we clearly see that Tojiro is helping Gestress with whatever her plan is, which involves World War. But we just came back from Tojiro meeting up with Meow, telling him, yo, you gotta fight for there not to be war. And it feels like he's not being like deceiving. It feels like Tojiro actually like doesn't want there to be a war. And then, so like maybe that's why he asks Meow to turn off his Kizuna, like, because we know Gestress has been monitoring him, and like, of course, Gestress would probably, suspect that Tojiro said something to Meow when he asked him to turn off his Kizuna, and probably Tojiro himself also turned off his Kizuna, but you wouldn't know precisely what he said. So that's another reason why I suspect he asked Meow to turn off his Kizuna, probably because of Gestress.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, do you guys think there's like enough information in Phase 1 to really tell like what Tojiro's motivations are? Because they seem like pretty like unclear to me. Because like Gestress asks like, "What are you saving up all this money for if the world's gonna end?" And Tojiro's just like, you know what? That's a good question.
It probably is possible if you like took everything he said and just analyzed it a shit ton. And that's like all you did for a few days, maybe.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly telling different people different things, based on what would be better for him. So it's not super clear what exactly he's trying to do or what he's going for.
Well, yeah, just like, do you guys have any ideas of what you think his motivations might be? Because I don't know what to make of him, so I'm just kind of waiting for more.
I'm not sure.
Come out.
Me personally, no. He's a funny little creature, though.
I can't say I know what his motivations are or his goal, but I can at least suspect that he's not aligned with Gestress. He's just playing the part of Gestress ally, and I think even Gestress is kind of aware that Tojiro is kind of a wild card.
Yeah.
And I also think Tojiro opposes the Three Kings, because obviously the Three Kings are aligned with Gestress, even though Gestress is also using the Three Kings, and their goal isn't exactly the same from what we get in this scene. And I guess the only ally, like the only goal alignment we could get for Tojiro could possibly be Dreisig, because it seems Dreisig is in opposition to the Three Kings, because they send the mole down there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of moving parts in this operation.
Yeah.
Or all these different operations.
Yeah. Before we move on, I wanted to say something about the cafe scene with Tojiro and Meow, because there's a thing there that really illustrates one of my biggest criticisms of Kiconia's story. So there's a point in the text where the narration just says, "With some laughter mixed in, we renewed the bonds of partner and child that had been cut off during my rebellious phase." And it's just like, what? Why does Ryukishi like just jump over conversations? He like just jumped over such a I feel like he could have added so much to the characters by writing down what they said instead of just saying, yeah, and then they just talked about a bit and that's it.
And they made up and they hugged and everything was fine.
Yeah, like there's so much. Kiconia lacks so much character dialogue to like build up these characters. I think
I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
I felt like Umineko did it best, even though it really great. Like most people think Umineko pacing is kind of meh. But then Higurashi cuts many things, and Kiconia cuts even more.
Yeah, like maybe is he just like kind of overcorrecting a little?
That's actually a good way to think about it.
There's too much words. I don't want to read this many words.
Could be.
Yeah, I feel like Ryukishi might not show it, but I feel like the backlash against him in the end of Umineko must have affected him somehow, in a way.
Yeah, made him go insane and make Go.
Oh, Ryukishi's like, oh, you guys hated my work so much, I'm gonna make Go just to torment you. Like that was his punishment against his fans. He's like,
yeah, Ryukishi Go arc is the equivalent to fucking
Joker. He just Joker-fied.
He's Joker-fied. It could also just be that like Ciconia is going to be a 4-part thing compared to Umineko's and Higurashi's 8 parts. At least that's what we know so far. So maybe he's just trying to put in as much meat as possible while cutting down on some of that kind of important fat, you know?
Yeah, like it's a 4-part thing while also having like even more characters at the start.
Which is it's a little bit.
Even so, like he doesn't have a restriction of how much he puts in a phase.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he could just make the phases as long as he fucking wants. Now that then, I guess that's true.
1 billion word count. No one can stop me.
And most of them are just ellipses.
Oh, true.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly speaking just wants to see like somebody do a compilement of how many like what percentage of Ryukishi's work is just ellipses. This man literally cannot help it. He just do be like ellipses everywhere.
He's like your parents sending you a text message where they just put fucking ellipses in between every fucking word.
Ryukishi, don't stop using ellipses. It's a cool little quirky thing you do.
Yeah, it's your little quirky moment. It's okay.
Is there a Twitter account that basically only does screenshots of like Ryukishi ellipses? Because if there isn't, we have to make one.
Probably not. Let's get on that before we
Yes,
release
let's
this
get on
episode.
Free real estate, man.
I think there's just like a thing in Japanese like of like ellipses carrying like a different like importance or like the different like symbol for them that has a different importance, but like it just does not translate over, and that's like a thing in a lot of like older JRPGs that got translations.
It's just kind of ellipses. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
So like that's not a Ryukishi thing. That's just a Japanese thing, and also marionettes getting cut.
Yeah.
Marionettes?
Yeah, marionettes getting cut.
Marionettes getting their strings cut, you know?
Or I
Yes.
mean, like, one of the things is like, oh, it's like saying like every single time you like in a like visual novel, not mentioning cat the cat box, not cat box,
The
like
cat box.
the
Tale of the North Wind and the Sun. Chess. Like there's so much.
well, not
There's
cat
so
box
much.
specifically, but like you know the just like Schrodinger's cat. I feel like every single visual novel has to at some point be like, yes, have you heard about the Schrodinger's cat? And I was like, yes. I've heard about
Have
it.
you read a visual novel before? Have you heard of this thing we mention every time?
Yeah.
Boy,
okay.
howdy, we're mentioning it again.
Yeah.
I am really wondering which like fucking like PC 98 game must have started the Schrodinger's cat obsession in VNs, but I think it like does make sense that it'd be such a thing because it is like a good like
It's a metaphor that fits very well for VNs.
Yeah, there's the choices and structures.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to our Choices and Structure VN visual novel podcast. We're gonna take a break from that to go back and talk about Kiconia.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I do. Okay, so I do think I do think it's like interesting that there's a point where it's like where Tojiro's like all in guiding humanity down the right path, right? And she's like, nah, I'm gonna do something else. That's what those old fuckers do. I'm cool.
She's like, cringe.
What I think like is going on with Tojiro's character is that he isn't really going to be like this mastermind genius who is like planned everything ahead, but just this pseudo intellectual who doesn't really stand for anything. Because if you like look at his dialogue, there's no genuine insights at all from him. It's always just like, well, humanity's the real virus. Those the uninformed mass of the public doesn't know anything.
Okay, I would like to disagree. Although I agree, Tojiro does ooze that Redditor energy. He does provide some insight. He tells the fucking king of Leto or whatever the other guy was. He tells him like, yes, invest in. Take your investments away. Sell your stocks that you have on environmental AMS. And then he tells Meow like, yes, war is about to start, but like, don't try to do anything. There will be a time for you in the future. You know?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So do you think he wants these people to like get money, or like, I don't know.
No, I think that was just his way of like establishing a relationship with a powerful figure. He's like, yes, I'll tell you how to get money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sussy.
Sussy little man.
Sussy
His
man.
little plans.
But yes, sussy little man's little plans. So yes, Jestrus teases Tojiro like, you're being a bad dad. You know, you're working basically starting this World War IV, where your son is trying to prevent this. Tojiro says the meaning of justice is something that one decides on their own, and nobody can ever do what as they told, or you know, like you can't be moved by, you have to be moved by your heart, not money. Like, you know.
And then you say Run starts playing. Yes, I remember that part.
Jestrus sends Tojiro his payment and wonders like, you know, why are you fucking saving up for the world? Tojiro says it's fun to save up a lot of money, and you know, he wants to see what he can do when the world is
big
destroyed.
Number go up.
Yeah, he's like, line goes up.
Where would you be at the end of the world?
I guess.
Wait, it's like, oh fuck. So have you seen that meme, which is like, where would you be when the revolution starts? Like, it's like that tiny girl going around on Wall Street and just says like, oh fuck. Anyway, I seen a version of that, but it's just like, it's like tiny baby. It's like Meow talking to Tojiro, and it's like, where would you be? Like, would your head be on the guillotine when the revolution starts?
I'm just now realizing this motherfucker has like a belt on his shirt for some reason going vertically. What the fuck?
I mean, he has lots of belts.
Yo, is he a Guilty Gear fan?
Education fashion sense, like, next level.
Yeah, like next to it he has a zipper.
No, I still think about what actually fucks me up is Kirie's random, like, vent on her side, like, on her left side. That's what kills me. That's her skin.
I didn't think about it until now that fucking Tojiro looks like a Daisuke Ishiwatari design.
Wait, what? What's that?
He's the Guilty Gear guy.
Guilty
He
Gear.
does
Okay.
look like a Guilty Gear design, doesn't he? Okay, I'm sorry. We're getting sidetracked.
No worries.
I got sidetracked because I was I was reading the dialogue and I just saw that he had a belt on his shirt and it made me so angry that I had to point it out.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Yeah. So basically, Tojiro's like, you know, maybe if I have this much money, I could find some pretty girl to drink with while watching the humanities last Twilight. Jestrus replies that she's probably going to be still caring for the Three Kings when like the world ends. So, you know, like, I don't have time to go on a date with you. And then basically calling them terrifying to having the ability to bring war to the world over and over again until humanity's number has reached their intended sizes.
Kind of. Sorry, we were literally talking about this on the other server like 5 hours ago, weren't we? But how like population?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Making numbers go down. Worse, maybe. Disease, yes.
Well, the thing is, okay, wait, no. Population control is a stupid conceptual idea in popular culture and in most literature. It's like, basically, in Dickens' time, they were like, oh, there's too many people on this earth already. Like, we need to kill poor people. Like, that's what people in Dickens' time thought as well.
We need an excuse to kill poor people.
Like, yeah, like, you know, like, they're just like, oh, why would we fund poorhouses when we could just kill them? Like this is during, like, you know, like Dickens' time, and even in the Industrial Revolutions, they were like, oh, like, you use words like, oh, we're gonna go conquer other people's land because we don't have enough land for our own people, so on and so forth.
Except we do.
I don't really believe in, like, even, like, Thanos, like, who's like, ah, yes, I'm gonna snap a half of the population. I'm like, dude, if you have a magical rock, you could literally be like, I'm now going to make
I'm gonna make more food.
Yeah, make more
resources.
Food, make more resources. Like anything else. Like, now people don't have to eat anymore. They will just they could just live off air. Like anything else. But he's like, yes, I have to kill half of the population. Like that's so fucking stupid.
I think the idea of population control is just often lobbied by people who want to, not to sound like kind of an asshole, but
to
just
do basically eugenics or genocide, basically.
like they want to think they're smart without actually doing any thinking. It's like, oh, people bad, I kill people, I've solved the problems, no one's ever thought of this before, guys.
Yeah, like, Hitler was like a vegan and believed in believed in eco-terrorism. So are you Hitler? Like, is that what you're trying to tell me?
Right.
It's just so stupid.
Right,
Anyway, so that's my rant against population control. It's like, it's dumb.
I don't think I can think of any fiction that has population control in a good light that actually is smart or makes sense with it.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. I want to have fiction to explore it in a way that makes sense, but most people are just like, many people bad. Look at slums and high rises.
Have you considered poor people? This is why the population is bad. I am very smart.
It's not enough resources. Oh no.
Not enough resources. It's like, what about those resources over there? It's like, just kick some dirt over them. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Shut
up. When I talk about population control, I mean, let's kill all rich people. Just kidding.
We're gonna get demonetized. Well, actually, we're not even monetized. What am I saying?
Population control. We need to remove 1% of the population.
when I saying the 1%,
I mean, because if you'd be removing the top 1%, then you could distribute the resources, and the overpopulation problem would kind of not be a problem.
Well, yeah, because for example,
I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass.
That sounds like communism.
Des finally figures out economics.
I know nothing about economy. I'm pulling this shit out of my ass.
That's like Jeffrey Bezos. Jeffrey Bezos is like, well, I could donate it's like, if I donate 5 billion to these people, you say you can end hunger? Well, it's like, let me tweet at you and write to a Twitter thread how that's not possible, how I'm not gonna give you all my money. That's like, a dude, that is a fraction of your fucking money. You could have ended war hunger by just giving the world health.
There's someone listening to this being right. There's someone just listening to this right now, fuming, just being like, what? I didn't want politics in my Ciconia Data Archive. I didn't want politics in my politic visual novel. What the hell? Unsubscribe, clicks off the channel, throws my computer across the room.
Your computer. Goes to your house, throws your computer out of the room.
Guys, where were you when the When We Cry podcast got woke?
I liked them until they got I'm sorry.
So anyway, Kiconia, right?
We're never gonna finish this.
No,
we are. What do we have left? Fucking 4 battle scenes that we have nothing to comment on.
We just have
Okay, yes. So Gestra must give in to the king's desire so she can grant her wish. She has a very specific wish. Tojiro hopes that Gestra becomes a good woman so he could sip wine with him while watching the last Twilight. And Gestra basically is like, fuck off, I would rather die along with my opponents than die with you. Calling a victory for humanity as so long as one man and one woman survives.
Wow, okay.
Tojiro prepares to leave and repeats the Three Kings Creed, like the humanity, something, good.
Yeah. Humanity, funny, right path.
Yeah, and when Gestress doesn't respond to his saying the creed, she says, that's their job, not hers. Gestress says that, even when I was born, I lived in the sole purpose to erase the quote unquote that nightmare, and wanting to do so the day of her last cell is destroyed. So that's very vague and very weird. I don't know what that's about. So Tojiro adds that humanity were having quite the nightmare themselves for all the purpose of erasing Gestra's nightmare. If her wish is granted, humanity would be grateful that Gestra's and see her victory as humanity's victory, though there's no telling how many humans will be left then.
Mm-hmm.
Tojiro makes another advances to Gestress when Gestress leaves, saying it's technically cheating, and Tojiro leaves the room soon after.
Yeah, which means Tojiro is married or in a relationship. Who knows with whom?
Yeah.
Now, this is where Gauntlet Knight's debrief meeting. The status officer tells AOU Joint Parliament has authorized military assault on the Japanese military force that's right around the Galaxy. The targets will be our aircraft platform things and anti-aircraft vehicles brought to the area. So,
Can
lots of...
I sorry, I just want to mention that I thought it was interesting that for the beginning of this chapter, you know how Rikishi likes to do his little quirky quotes at the beginning, that the quote for this one is all in the name of guiding humanity down the right path, attributed to Mitake Tojiro.
Yeah, but the funny thing is the line says all is in the name of guiding humanity down the right path?
Question mark?
Yeah. Question mark? Yeah.
In this, so basically they're going to just go attack COU Japan military for their aggression on the Glass Sea, and the officers are basically explaining like what's happening, and these anti-warcraft vehicles has all these like shields and stuff, and they have air defense system with all these fancy tech words. Okunogi's trying to psych the kids up, and basically he's like, "Oh, the knights, you know, if you destroy these vehicles, they need to get out immediately so you can avoid missiles by getting hit." Warcats holds their own mental chat while Okunogi is speaking this whole thing. Gunhild is amused that Okunogi is giving them so much support after calling them esports gamers in this entire time. Meow also talks about how he wants the old people in the military to shut the fuck up and just give us the power, and Jaden agrees. Meow also receives a message from Lingji, who tells him that there's a lot of people in COU that's not in favor of attacking the AOU and prone to avoid war, but, you know, it's still happening.
Right, so are the Gauntlet Knights trying to cause gamers to rise up?
Yeah, the most oppressed individuals in the world is actually gamers. They're e-gamers. Rethabil also joins in and says the people she would also be leading the attack, and that's on the ACR family that's going to attack the AOU, that's going to intercept the AOU Atlantic fleets. And the three leaders come to a conclusion that their respective factions don't want war, and it's the fault of these old warmongering people trying to make money. However, if they go too far, then the things will get even worse. Rethabil plans to pay a visit to the aircraft carrier and see what she could do, vow she would do her best. Stan even shows up and sends a message about how he has an order to attack the refugee camp, which I honestly think is like one of the worst ones in here, you know? Like, all these people are just like kind of attacking fleets and they're not really doing anything, but like to be sent a message to be like, hello, young man, go attack the refugee camp for us is like really messed up.
Well, he isn't. Is he actually ordered to attack the refugee camp? I thought it was just to rescue the fucking guy that was hiding there that got taken by the others.
Well, they decided that that's the specificity. I mean, like, you know, you could take the order of like go rescue the president. Is like, do you go rescue the president in silence, or do you shoot every single person in your way so you can get then like rescue the president? It's like the similar idea.
Okay. Yeah.
So Rethabil says that her father, King, the founder of her nation, says to never reject anybody who came and chase none who is left, which is their national policy. And there's a lot of people trying to gain influence, and the ACR also wants to avoid war. So Rethabil knows that the ABN has their own reasons for doing what it is, and if they go too far, even the royal family will be forced to go all out. Lingji asks Sans is Kashmir's spirit field distribute was a result of ABN hardline factioning doing their own thing, and he affirms that it's probably what happened, and the councils wanted mining machines to stop, but the military opposed it because, you know, that makes us look weak. Basically, everybody's trying to posturing to look way stronger than they are, so they basically decided not to back down, and which makes war even worse. COU strategy officer announced that 8 squad, including Baibal, would be destroying 8 mining machines with full permission to respond to any attack by the ABN military. Lingji tells her squad that they would only attack the mining machines and nobody else. Like, you're not allowed to attack anything. ABN strategy officer states that 3 squads led by Stan's thing.
Tamatatsu youth.
The camp is holding a leader of peace who must be protected, and the ABN government wants to retreat them. Naomi comes to understand that they are buying time for a political solution to be made, and the ACR Libya border are a minefield, and many old people in power are rushing to solve issues and gaining more influence. Naima hopes that ABN would accept the refugees seeking asylum. Rethabil sends a message to all of her squad mates telling them, their only mission is to make AOU Atlantic Field retreat, and they're only just paying them a visit. And they will fight with honor. On top of the Glass Sea, the center of Japan, which is now the center of Japan, a 10-kilometer in radius crater created by the World War III by using a solar warhead. Meow's squad exits a vehicle and looks at the Glass Sea, and they basically just stealth around. They do a bunch of cool shit, and you could now hear like the sounds of construction could be heard in the center of the Glass Sea, where a 4D printer was building an anti-aircraft equipment, which I think is actually kind of cool. Like, where instead of like basically getting a warship there, like, you just like build an anti-warcraft and equipment in the middle of nowhere, I guess, with nanobots. Like, that's such a fascinating idea.
Wait, is that what they were doing? I can't believe I missed that.
I'm pretty sure they just like 3D printed a fucking
Yes.
thing or something type
Yeah,
of
they
deal.
so like you could hear the construction in the middle of the Glass Sea.
I thought they were mining. Am I fucking stupid? Oh my god.
This is on the Glass Sea.
They were 4D printing military assets right there.
Yes.
What madwad?
So
Damn.
basically, an officer tells them that COU Air Force won't be flying for the next 24 hours, anyway, so the officer gets really mad, and the officer secretly messes Tojiro and thanks him for the financial support. Tojiro expresses sentiment for, I'm glad that I got to break the old asshole's game boards. Which is so weird. Please don't say game board, Ryukishi. The officer recites the Three Kings Creed. So basically, it's like, this part is actually really interesting. Basically, it's like the Air Force is not like, they actually prevented people from flying because they don't want like people to seemingly get attacked, but they're also for the guiding humanity down the right path. So I actually don't know, like, what are all these people doing? Like, these are actually all really conflicting things that are happening.
Wait, I didn't understand what's conflicting about it.
There's the 4D printer that's building an anti-aircraft equipment in the middle of the Glass Sea, and if this is completed, then COU could have the initiative to like have control over the entire Glass Sea.
Yeah, but then they restrict air movement above them.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. What?
Yeah, and then but then
no, that's the whole thing. Like they weren't supposed to do it. They only did it because Tojiro pulled some strings in the background.
I guess they're actually called
like they weren't gonna do it.
4D printers for some reason.
What are 4D printers?
What would a 4D printer entail versus a 3D printer? I guess it's just...
What would the fourth dimension be? Because like when you go to watch like a 4D movie, there's like smell.
I don't know, honestly. 4D printers.
It's an aircraft carrier, but it smells like roses.
Yeah.
Oh god. So basically, this is also the same part where the war cats are just flying around and they're trying to skim to the surface of the ground because they're trying to hide from everybody else. Gunhill says the AMS flow conditions are favorable, so they can avoid from alerting the enemy, and they keep just like they jump towards the crater and igniting their booster with a splash of angel feathers. So really cool action scenes happening.
Mm-hmm.
War conflict. So the news anchor starts talking about ABN. Pakistan is still continuing their mining operation. ABN complicated political situation is basically getting to the point where nobody is stopping the mining and everybody's mad. The captain of the aircraft carrier, Roger Jamskins, speaks to a high-ranking AOU officer who tells him that ACR will not withdraw from the Atlantic Spirit Field, and Atlantic Fleet should prepare to fight. And
wait, so that guy has a name?
Yeah, I don't know. The carrier has a name, which I think is really weird. Okay. Not the dude has a name, just the carrier.
Yeah, the carrier, got it.
So everybody's just mad, and they're like, and the officer doesn't like so. The captain opposes the order, and he's like, I don't want to fight, as the Atlantic Fleet is supposed to uphold a wall of peace. And the officer doesn't like this pacifist attitude and just tells him to fuck off, but the captain ends the transmission. The captain orders every ship to stand by, forbids them to attack unless he was given the order or they get hit. The other officer is concerned that they will be destroyed if the ACR launches a attack, and the captain expresses his faith in the Vice Admiral Kumar, which is the first captain of the ACR Atlantis. And they were rivals in Battle Sander Festival, but Kumar should be aware that Captain is commanding the fleet will avoid unnecessary combat. This is very fascinating because this is basically also like a small snapshot of like, there's clearly nice people in the military that were like, I don't want war, like we have camaraderie. And then a caveat, just so a bunch of ACR military forces rise into the ABN refugee camp. The international volunteer process protests that ACR military is leaving allowed to pass on being first. Nature officer goes on the refugee camp, rallying camp, rallying with terrorists. The officer was then This is so much fucking content. How are we ever gonna finish this?
I don't know. I feel like you can like.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna skip. They
You
just
can skim over it.
everybody just fucking okay. End of this. I'm just gonna skip all this. Everybody end up being fine. That's that. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's fine. Rethaville's hell. Like, I just wanted to explain this because it's like, there's a lot of shit happening. They're fighting over shit.
Yeah.
Everybody walk out feeling like they did a great job. And, like, they're all getting pats on each other's backs. And they're like, see, we didn't kill anybody. And we got to uphold the war of peace. And we just got to attack warships. And we showed those old fuckers who's boss. That's it. The end.
Mushroom, like, I understand, like, it must have been boring as balls for you reading all that, because I don't think we can, like, summarize a battle scene in a way that's interesting, because, like, there's just nothing to comment on it to break the summary. But there's also, like, just a lot of shit to say, but not a lot of interesting things to comment on.
It's like, pew, pew, pew.
Can't wait for someone in the comments to be like, bro, this plot summary is incomplete. You forgot to mention Momotake when he pulled out the big sword and he sliced the big thing.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Actually, we mentioned that previously, so that we got it covered.
Yeah, we mentioned that he did,
I was not listening.
Wow.
Imagine not listening to your own podcast.
We just explained it as he used the hand. So pretty much, to keep a long story short, the status quo is upheld. Everybody happy because Gauntlet Knights are now epic war machines instead of gamers. Just good times all around, except, like, what did they even really do? But I mean, it's not whatever.
Yeah, and I think, like, I'm pretty sure this is where, like, you're introduced to Stan's mission and Stan's Naima and Naomi's mission, but I don't even think they're fully ending yet. So, like, that's one of the only ones that they just started it.
They aren't done, and Retable's squad isn't done either.
But like,
Stan's like, we will reach the target in 5 minutes, and I think it just stops there.
Well,
I think it ends on like society bad or something. I don't
relatable.
How specific?
Relatable.
Anyway, kids, since now we had such a riveting I mean, I think we covered all the good parts.
I think the amount of content in like the first one, just with how packed it is with shit going on, makes up for like there not really being a whole lot to analyze besides on a surface level in the next two, It's probably okay.
Yeah. But how do you guys feel about the fight scenes in Kiconia?
Oh, the fight scenes, I thought they looked cool. When I saw them for the first time, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool that Ryukishi's doing something a little different.
Yeah, I think that they have like some like funny visual presentation.
They remind me of like a slightly worse looking well, that's mean, but a slightly like less great looking version of the fights from Umineko, I guess.
Why? Because of the horrible 2000 CG that Ryukishi just thought about implementing?
Well, he's doing his best.
I feel like that action Ciconia would have been better if it focused more on like fights instead of just like and then they blow up the big ship.
Yeah, versus.
What? Wait, I don't get your point.
Or
I think what he's saying is that like if the fights were more like interesting fights instead of just like, and then they destroy the thing and they win and they hit it harder than the enemy can hit, so they do big damage type of deal.
There's like there's a difference between a fight scene and an action scene.
Yeah.
Where like a fight scene is like more like a physical conversation between multiple entities, whereas an action scene is just spectacle is occurring.
Yeah.
Because like, I think you can write a good fight scene because it is like in a sense a conversation, but you can't write a good action scene because it's spectacle that doesn't translate to a written medium. Because like Umineko like has good fight scenes because the fights are conversations that are literally being put into like a physical conversation of a fight.
Yeah, Kiconia does feel kind of whack. Like the visual composition of when it's like it feels like a comic book. That shit slaps. But yeah, if it isn't as interesting as other parts, yeah.
Because like the like one fight scene at the beginning, I'd say is good, where it's just between Meow and Jaden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I actually didn't like it that much. I felt like it was kind of an asshole how Jaden was like, yes, and now I go through the building, and it's just like, wow, what a genius, Jaden.
Really? I really liked it. It felt like the best parts of the Umi fights, in my opinion, and a pretty good way to open the whole series, you know?
What about you, Mushroom?
My thoughts on basically the battle and how it's written. I like it. I don't, for me, like reading something is not really a lot of work. I thought like I also wouldn't say like the battle here is what I think of the best in like Ryukishi's writing wise.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's more just like just kind of an action scene. It's just kind of like spectacle. But I mean, it is meant to like show the Gauntlet Knights can really do it. They're not just for show, and kind of show just how far below normal military might is compared to the strength of something that can just do all of that with like one to three people, you know?
Yeah, in that sense it does accomplish what it's trying to do.
It accomplishes what it sets out to do, and it's interesting.
Well, I don't think I have anything else to comment on this episode's content.
No, I don't really have anything else to say. It's just kind of like a show of power, and we don't get the conclusion to it until the next few chapters. And yeah. Do we have any like concluding thoughts on these past three chapters, or are we good?
Explosion big.
Agree.
I also do agree with what Jensen said, that like I think most fight scenes are interesting because you care about the people that are clashing in them. Like that fight scenes are interesting because you have emotional investments in things like that. But like I totally agree that like right now this scene is like not really interesting because they're just it's very easy for them. Like it's like a very painless scene. Like they're just going in and like slash and then they just leave and they just all pat themselves on the back. But like sooner or later, like the actual fight scenes that are actually good is when like the characters have to fight each other. So maybe it is like maybe there's something to it where like early fight scenes are easier, so then the more painful ones can come.
Yeah, I don't think that the scenes to come are that good either, but we will discuss it when I get there.
Yeah,
like I think that the scenes to come like do work, but not because they're an action scene. It's just because of what is going on, like or what is like kind of implied to be going on.
What do you mean? The only thing I can think of like that, it's the very last one.
Well, it's not implied, but I mean just kind of just what is happening to the characters and not the action scene itself.
Yeah. I can see what you mean. Yeah.
All right. Is that it then?
Yeah, that's it. So in conclusion, Tojiro takes the black pill, and the Gauntlet Knights do everything. Yeah.
Wow.
There it is. There's your chapter summary.
I don't feel like I have much, I feel like I have much, very intelligent
No,
things.
there really isn't a whole lot to say about, the previous two. I mean, just the two chapters where they just fight, and then we kind of, I think, we kind of, wrung out the chapter that we are, the first chapter we talked about. So I think I'm happy.
Me too.
Okay, then.
I think it's a good episode.
Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tojiro is so base. He has such great insights, mankind knew they cannot change society, so instead of reflecting on themselves, they blame the beasts.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Tojiro.
Thank you, Tojiro. Good night, AOU.
See ya. Au revoir. Hello. Post-recording Des here, and I bring you a prediction. Nay, a prophecy. The word of God. Unfortunately, the Data Archive is gonna have to go on hold for a while, but you can expect book clubs every week if you're into that. If not, go read Umineko and come back. It's really good, really good. We have a whole podcast about it, you know? Maybe some smoking rooms or the Furude Shrine. But yeah, that's the future of the channel for the foreseeable future. We hope you stay tuned and that you wait eagerly for whenever the Data Archive comes back in full force. So yeah, see ya!